Hey friends, welcome in. Small Business Q&A. I'm your host, Tim Knox. This is the video podcast where you ask the small business questions and I give you the answers. And hopefully they're answers that are going to help you succeed in your own small business. The way this works, quite simply, is if you have a question, email it to me, tim@timknox.com. Very simple, tim@timknox.com. You can also send it to me via Facebook, via Twitter. If you want to send a carrier pigeon over, I don't care. There's windows right there. So ask your question, and if I use your question on the podcast, you get a free copy of my best-selling small business book, Everything I Know About Business I Learned from My Mama. Okay, you can have it in hardcover, or you can have the Kindle edition, whichever you like. So let's get right to it. Our question today comes from, this is Linda M. out of Dallas, Texas. Linda asks, Linda writes, Tim, I have been in the same job for 35 years. I'm about to retire and would like to start my own business. I am in my late 50s, in good health, lots of energy, and very passionate about what I do. What tips can you give me to make sure that starting a small business is right for me? Excuse me, that's a great question, Linda, and it's one that everyone thinking about becoming an entrepreneur should ask. Because quite frankly, becoming an entrepreneur is not for everyone. Entrepreneurs are wired a little differently than normal folks, and if you don't have the mental capacity, the determination, the ability to get back up once you've been knocked down, you're probably not going to succeed as an entrepreneur. But let's talk about Linda. Linda, you didn't mention what kind of business you've been in the last 35 years and if those are related, but if they are, that's a really good sign. I always recommend that if you can start a business in a field that you're highly experienced in, it's going to give you the leg up because you're already going to know the industry, you're going to know the market, you're going to know your customer base, so that would be a plus. A few questions you should ask yourself to anyone thinking about starting a small business or becoming an entrepreneur is this: are you passionate about your idea? And Linda says that she is passionate about the business. You have to be passionate or it's going to get old really quickly. You know, you have to eat, live, sleep, breathe, sweat your business idea. And if you're not passionate about it, you're going to have a hard time holding your interest. Remember, you're talking about starting a business, excuse me, that you'll have to get up and go to work every day. And that's what business is. It is work. It's your own work, but it's work nonetheless. So you have to be passionate about your idea. Another thing is, are you experienced in the field? Where Linda said she had 35 years of experience, I'm going to assume it's in the same field. You know, you should never open a restaurant just because you like to eat. I always say just because you have feet does not qualify you to open a shoe store. So it's better if you have experience in that field, especially if it is a risky venture like a restaurant or doing something in retail. Another question to ask yourself, Linda, is are you financially stable? Now, you're retiring. I'm going to assume that you've got some retirement benefits coming. You may have a 401k. You may have some money stocked back. And the reason that's important is because quite often when you start a small business, you don't get paid for a long time. It could be a year, 18 months, 24 months, even longer before the business is to the point where you can pull out money. So are you financially stable? Do you have 12 months, 18 months, even 24 months of your personal expenses saved up? Because remember, you're still going to have your mortgage payment, your light bill, your car payment, you need groceries, so you're going to have money for that. So make sure you're financially stable. The number one killer of small businesses is a lack of money and a lack of financial planning on the part of the entrepreneur. So having money in the bank to get going is vital, because starting a business, unless you're going to do consulting, just a one person, one office type thing, if you're going to do anything of substance, it's going to require a considerable investment of your time and your money, and you've got to have the ability to weather that financially. Here's another one that's kind of related to money. Can you work for little or no pay for an extended amount of time? As I just mentioned, it may be a while before you're able to pull a nickel out of this business. So you've got to be able to have that, not only that financial capacity, but that mental capacity to work. Because when you're in small business, you, the owner, are the last person to get paid. Your employees get paid first, your vendors get paid first, the utility company gets paid first, your landlord gets paid first, and you get whatever is left. And some months there may not be anything left. So do you have the ability to do that? Also, don't think that you're going to start a small business and work just a few hours a week, because it just doesn't work that way. You can start some home business or an MLM or something like that, but to really get into the traditional type of business, you're going to be working far more than 40 hours a week, 60, 80 hours a week, and again, quite often with little or no pay, so keep that in mind. The last thing is, do you have, and this is a big one, do you have the ability to experience failure and not let it devastate you? And I bring that up because the statistics will tell you that the majority of small businesses do fail. The majority of entrepreneurs fail the first time out. The key is being able to get back on that horse and get back out there and fight the good fight. So if you do start this business, Linda, and it ends in failure, are you able to handle that? I have seen a lot of entrepreneurs become depressed. They get wiped out not only corporately in business, but personally, financially. So it can take a toll on your finances, your very spirit, your relationships. Business failure can be quite devastating. It's always a possibility. So you have to keep that in mind. Do you have the ability to get back up and get out there and do it again? And keep this in mind, most successful entrepreneurs have experienced failure on a massive scale. I'm talking bankruptcy many times. Donald Trump has been bankrupt. Milton Hershey has been bankrupt. Walt Disney couldn't even get a job as a reporter when he was young because people thought no one would believe his imagination. And he went on and he struggled financially, and of course we know what happened with Disney. So it's always something to ask. Great question, Linda. Always start with self-assessment. Am I cut out to be an entrepreneur? On the next installment of this program, we're going to talk about how to choose the business that's best suited for you. So Linda, you may want to tune into that if you need other ideas. We're going to talk about how to suit a business to your personality, your financial needs, and that sort of thing. Don't forget, you can ask a question. Send it to tim@timknox.com. Find us on Facebook. Find us on Twitter. The website, of course, timknox.com. If you do submit a question and I use it on the podcast, you get a free copy of Everything I Know About Business I Learned from My Mama. You can get that in hardback or you can get it on Kindle. All right, that's this edition of Small Business Q&A. I hope it was helpful. Feel free to drop me a line even if you don't have a question. If you want to give me some feedback to the program, always welcome to hear that too. All right, Small Business Q&A with Tim Knox. We will see you next time. Now get out there and do some business.